All right, welcome to this edition of the Justice Team podcast. And today we're talking about AI and PI, how to use artificial intelligence in personal injury cases and those other types of litigation cases. We have two very special guests today. Immediately far on my right, we have Mr. Evan Garcia. Evan, can you say hi to everybody?
Yes, how you doing? Glad to be here.
So Evan is a trial lawyer. He's licensed in Texas and California, and he's recently got some big verdicts and used AI on the fly, which we will discuss. So immediately to my right, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, but if you're just listening, we have Ray, and it's how do you your last name is it's Polish, and I can never say it. It's like Mieszaniec.
It's Mieszaniec. So Ray Mieszaniec.
Ray Mieszaniec, who is the co-founder of EvenUp, which is a legal tech company. They incorporate AI. He's up to speed on it. His company just had a very big moment as a company, which we will discuss. So he's well versed in this stuff.
I would hope so. I would really hope so.
Okay, so Ray, I'm going to start with you, man. Can you just tell people what the fuck is AI? What is it, and what is it not?
What is artificial intelligence? Well, essentially, that's a loaded question. That's like I got to bring in like the data scientists here to.
You are the data scientist.
I am the data scientist, but essentially. We're essentially trying to teach machines to do things in the way that humans would do, essentially in their everyday tasks. So for the longest time, people have been kind of looking at technology that, it's kind of like if this, then that, kind of very simple tasks for it to carry out. And as we've kind of seen technology evolve, using a lot of this kind of tech in your day-to-day workflows, like you can kind of lose out on the human elements of like how you would actually, say, care for your clients or care for your customers, et cetera. So simply put, AI is a way for us to introduce more of a human element back into the use of technology to create efficiencies. Do you think
that, I always hear lawyers are afraid in some industries that AI is going to replace them. Why is that not accurate? Or is it?
It's Well, what do you think, Evan?
Well, not to, you're certainly more in tune with it, but, from my experience, and I dabble a little bit, it's like, and this is, I don't know, a very nice thing to say. It's like a dumb kid. I mean, you tell it what to do, and it depends on the queries you put in, but it still takes a lot of work. And in my experience, at least, a lot of the results, it comes out inaccurate. So you got to spot check it. And so, just from my quasi layperson perspective, I mean, it's not there yet, but sure is going fast. So,
it's going
we'll see. I don't know. So, what's your thoughts on, the 5-year, 10-year, 20-year?
Well, I do think that the lawyers that may get replaced are the lawyers that don't know how to leverage it, or at least use it in some capacity. That's the honest way that I feel. So force yourself. Take 30 minutes out of your day. Test drive some of these platforms. Yeah. Ray, what are your thoughts?
Well, I love the dumb kid analogy. The thing is, the way I would describe it, yeah, you could see it as like a dumb kid today, but this dumb kid is actually willing to get smarter and smarter and learn, as long as you're willing to coach it. And so
eat their vegetables.
Yeah, and eat their vegetables.
Yeah. So, broccoli.
Essentially, the way I would describe it is that, first and foremost, you guys should know, like we can't rely on AI to do everything for us today. Like we need to be the ones to oversee what the AI is actually producing at the end of the day and make sure that it's correct. It can't be relied upon 100%. Mm-hmm. So, in terms of what AI is really good at doing today is general purpose kind of tasks. So a lot of people are talking about ChatGPT, how it's going to take over the world and kind of like take over all these jobs and such. But one thing that they don't understand is ChatGPT is really good at doing general kind of things. It's general purpose tasks. It's not good at specialized tasks. Like, so if we're telling it to draft any kind of legal documents and stuff, it still requires people with knowledge from the legal sphere to teach it how to do those things. So it relies on the data, the inputs from specialized folks like yourselves to teach it to do the right thing. Otherwise, it doesn't know how. And it might, and there's been things in the news where people are like, we asked ChatGPT these legal questions and they spewed up garbage, or they lied, right? And it's because it's not supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of, garbage in and garbage out kind of thing. What I learned, and it didn't take too long, but there is some know-how and how to query a question, and you play with it a little bit, and I think you start learning how to more properly frame a question. And then the really cool thing is, and I use Chat3PT on a case that I just had, but what was really interesting is that in live time, once you give it a query, it gives you a response that you can build off the response that it gave you. And in essence, that for me is the best way to kind of hone in on what I'm looking for. It's obviously very rare that my first
Evan,
question.
tell us,
got it.
when recent multi-7-figure verdict on a disputed liability case, a lot of technical stuff in that trial. A lot of science, quasi-science from biomechanical experts and stuff. How did you tell our listeners some practical tips that you did on the fly in trial to win that case?
Yeah, and luckily I had about a 10-day, what's called trailing, where I knew I was assigned a courtroom. I knew I was going to be, starting on this day, and it allowed me to just get ultra prepared. And so some of the things that I was able to do was I had just played around with it, kind of learned how to ask it questions, and you can go to YouTube and kind of teach yourself a little bit. But
what app did you use?
Well, and I use Chat3PT, so OpenAI's free version. I mean, you can pay for it. There's more sophisticated versions. I just went with that one. It's kind of, the most famous one. And this is a side topic. There's over 200 AI applications out there that can do all sorts of things, from Bing's to Microsoft's to, I think there's one called Slide AI, which helps you with PowerPoints. Mm-hmm. But in any event, going back to how I used it, I had some pretty complicated psychiatric diagnoses and some symptoms that I was unsure how related or what the medical literature had, would support, whether they're connected or not. And it allowed me to just go through the thousands of journals out there and find peer-reviewed articles, that were published in America. And in the last 5 years, I mean, it took me maybe 10 minutes.
Wow.
And it gives you the sites. Then I was able. This is kind of going back to the trust but verify. I would then go back and I would Google them. I'd find, Google Scholar. I'd find the articles. And sometimes you're reading through these and you're like, well, that doesn't really actually apply here. So you just go back to your query and you say, hey, look, number 2 doesn't seem to, make sense, or I don't think this is related. And it says, oh, yeah, whoops, sorry about that. Here's 2 more. And you're like, oh, okay, wow. So it then armed me with some of the knowledge, and it taught me things that I could then use to either cross-examine the expert, or in some instances, I would give it to my expert and we would talk about it and say, hey, what do you think? And he's like, oh man, yeah, I hadn't read this part of, the literature. This makes a lot of sense.
People are always surprised how much we have to be the expert for our experts and spoon feed a lot. Here, would you see this study yet? How about this piece of evidence?
Right. And I think it's, they can be highly specialized and they're the best of the best, but they're still a jack of all trade in let's just say a neuropsychiatric capacity. Mm-hmm. And they may not know of this obscure diagnosis and the most recent, literature on it. And so it's just a way to kind of have high fidelity on the information that you're using, and really quickly. I mean, it took me 30 minutes to where I think pre-OpenAI here, it would have taken me several days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another cool thing is, and we'll talk to you about this, Ray, the ability for it to read PDFs and generate responses and queries off of that. With Evans, you can take the scholarly article, if you have a biomechanical expert in our profession, drop in all the articles that these experts rely on and ask it, what were the findings of these? What are the sample sizes? What are the deficiencies in these studies? Because you can keep teaching it, and find me ones that refute these studies.
Right.
Yeah, and this is when we're taking expert depositions in our, get the studies these experts rely on and run it through AI. I used to have to read all of them and it took me the same thing as that forever. You're trying to learn this, what does this mean? And then following up with this article, now you can find them a lot quicker. We used to hire experts to find this stuff.
And meanwhile, having to prep for, you're doing the direct of 2 witnesses, the next day, you're arguing about, a lingering motion to eliminate that hasn't been resolved, and trying to make sure your client's going to be ready for her testimony in a couple of days. So catching time in trial is invaluable. And man, geez, it really, really allows you to do that.
Yeah, in our side, we're not getting paid per hour. It's perhaps, right?
Yeah.
So we have to leverage this technology to be able to be super efficient. Where on some sides they're like, oh shit, we should be charging 2 days of work for that. It's like, we did 30 minutes. Ray, tell us what's going on at EvenUp, because you guys are doing a lot of heavy document extraction, learning, and where are you taking EvenUp?
Well, one thing I wanted to note on that point where you're saying like, essentially a lot of people are looking at AI where they're thinking like, okay, this is a great efficiency play, this is a cost reduction play. But what you guys just described is like, AI is also helping you do things that were unimaginable at one point in time. Like you're able to, like within seconds, be able to pull these results or find these things within these documents.
Literally seconds. It's seconds.
It's incredible, right? And so that's one thing that we need to realize too. It's not just like a efficiency play, like a cost reduction play, but this is helping scale us into like to be able to do things that we never thought were possible before, right? And that's where, I mean, even with like Justice HQ and folks wanting to start their own practice, we're in like a time where like you can actually be like a solo practitioner and compete with some of the biggest players in the space just by building out a lean law firm and being open to the technologies that are available. And I mean, if some of the bigger players in the space don't adopt AI, like it's like you could actually be the winner in very few short
and I
years.
think this is where, like with EvenUp, I finally realized what your name actually means, EvenUp, to like level the playing field, huh? Because it's built for plaintiff firms. It took me a while. But because I saw it as...
Not surprising, Bob. Not surprising.
I know I'm a little slow on the uptake. They used to call me caveman lawyer when I was in law school.
Yeah,
ask Tom Conroy this story.
All right,
I was drunk and just busted the door down where we lived because I had to get in there. I had to be there. And they're like, fucking caveman lawyer over here just doing his thing. Well, anyway, like with EvenUp, rising all tides. So we use it for doing demand letters, and I saw that was like the Instagram ads I got all the time. And I was like, fuck, what is this? I got to look it up. But, I started just doing automation demand letters, $300-400 to do it, very well versed. We use it for medical timelines too, to be able to quickly analyze what's going on with these cases shopped to us. But then I found out what you're, really hoping to do is just, extract all of the data, the results, and be able to predict kind of the value, the true value of these cases.
That's right. On
different metrics, even the metric of how good the lawyer is. I mean, that's going to be a driver too.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, can you elaborate a little bit on that? I mean, without giving away a little secret sauce, but that sounds pretty amazing.
Well, you can say what your company raised and the milestone you hit. Now you can talk about it a little bit more.
Depends on when we actually post this.
Okay. Wait. This episode.
But like we're announcing soon. But then like hopefully we can post this in the next couple of weeks.
Stay tuned, everybody.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I'll say it for just in case if we can.
Yeah, we'll do it. You know what? We'll launch this the day you announce. How about that?
Okay,
we'll
sounds
do
good.
a little launch
good.
party.
So I'm very fortunate. The team has worked really hard for this point. We honestly we're still surprised too. Like we've grinded over the years to make this happen, but we just recently closed a $50 million round at a $325 million valuation.
Very cool, dude. Very cool.
And that's PI Tech. That's PI Tech.
Ray, how old are you?
I'm 30.
There we go. But
wow.
I mean, crazy. That's awesome.
A little bit about EvenUp, trying not to make this like a sales pitch here or anything, but essentially what we've done is we've built AI that predicts what personal injury lawsuits will settle for. So, telling my friend Evan for the first time, because we've never talked about this, but
very cool.
Essentially the vehicle of which delivers these predictions, these valuations, currently is the demand package. And so we help firms basically draft super comprehensive demand packages at scale. Comprehensive meaning like we calculate all of the damages. We'll cite verdicts for pain and suffering, the verdicts that are most relevant to the case at hand. So in terms of like
and so like we search even within our firm and say who has verdicts that are like this,
right?
Who have this type of cervical fusion with this type of age patient, they'll be able to quickly predict that for you.
Wow.
But as far as like when they pull the medical records, the thing that I like is it tells you what you're missing. Like if
that's right.
A lot of lawyers just aren't sophisticated enough on medicine to see, I'm missing a TBI or maybe it's another injury.
It's crazy, and it's not a problem necessarily with the law firm itself. It's something that we've seen it stems from medical providers being super disorganized. So when we're reaching out, we're asking like, hey, can you give us the records for this? Like what they return to you think it's complete, but by the time it comes to EvenUp, this is where we realize, oh my gosh, like there's like 50% of the records that are missing here.
Yeah.
And so what we wanted to do was essentially build the AI so that it's able to identify these things. Like, so we can spot the missing bills, the records, infer if there's a missing provider, and let you know ASAP. If there's even an area of opportunity that you might have missed, where it's like a potential TBI claim, we flag that for you, because our whole goal is to maximize the value of the claim, right? Leave no money on the table, maximize the value of the claim, and also just let you know if there's something that's going to be difficult that you're going to need to spend some time preparing for, like pre-existing injuries, all that stuff, we flag it for you. That's our purpose. That's our goal.
Super helpful, and kind of going back to this concept of catching time. I mean, there is an unfortunate runway of time when you order records. You got to wait, 30 days. Usually they send you, you have to follow up repeatedly. You get half the records, and it's just a very annoyingly dragged out process. And so having something like that, being able to flag you, saying, hey, look, you're missing X, Y, and Z, and you can follow up right away. Pretty cool stuff, man. I get it.
I mean, in a bigger picture, imagine a world where a consumer can find the lawyer that's the best at that specific case based off of real analytics, and not fake badges and super lawyers and SEO fake content.
You talking meritocracy here?
Well, I like that word, meritocracy.
It's
making shit up. I never
Googled it beforehand.
That's from Ray Dalio. He's big on meritocracy. Yeah, so the principles book. Yeah.
Oh no, you guys are just on a whole nother way. 0100000.
Yeah. You just said nice to meet you in binary. Yeah.
So some other practical things, Evan or Ray, what else can our listeners be doing, other than exploring? They can reach out to everybody here directly. That's the A1. You can go to the Justice Team podcast or the Justice Team Network page, and we can kind of help you there and guide you with some products. So this is evolving quickly. There's new ones. You mentioned Slide AI for PowerPoint.
I think it's Slide AI.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Have you messed with
I did
it?
that one. I was testing that and a few other platforms yesterday to quickly do PowerPoints, because I do a lot of speaking engagements. Hey, I need this. Here's some critical stuff, and it's pretty good. Of course, that took you maybe 60% of the way there, and I think that's important. Is like you can use products like Case Text Co-Counsel, and it can. Since again, Ray, I want you to explain, why is that product better than somebody using ChatGPT? And we were discussing this earlier about teaching the dog different types of ways. Because now that we've heard, people have caught wind, because there was an article that leaked about your company's raise, and I've seen 10 other competitors in your space now. Oh, we could automate your demand letters in 30 minutes. Why can't they catch up?
It's really honestly this is honestly, it's all flattering with a lot of like the copycats that come out. But at the end of the day, so the analogy that I like to paint here is like this AI works in the same way as like you training a dog. So if you're training a dog, and we're talking about just your regular household pet, friendly dog at home, you can teach it to sit, you can teach it to come, you can tell it to down. Like those are kind of the basic commands that ChatGPT can really, really help you with. But if you want to now have a special service dog, right? Like maybe like a police dog or a rescue dog, or a dog that helps, the service dog that helps
like
the blind.
A German Shepherd trained for 6 months to kill if it comes in your yard.
Like in John Wick, like the dogs that climb
help
the walls.
people.
Or help people.
Yeah,
or help people.
That's okay too.
So those dogs require special training, and it's no different in terms of how we're training the AI. The AI, to do those special tasks, it needs special training and
the best training. And that's special task.
And that lies within the data that you feed it, the examples that you feed it. You have to give it, for example, if we're trying to train it to spot missing bills, records, etc., we have to teach it how does that actually look. We actually have to teach it with humans inputting the thousands and thousands of examples of what that actually looks like. And that's where we can get better and better in terms of spotting that to like 100% accuracy. But
and that's with your product and Casetext, same thing. There's so much in the legal research. They have all the cases. They've done them for years. And if you want to extract quick briefs and motions, that's the platform to use. Yeah, but it might not be used for like what groceries do I buy today.
No, and that you could just use for chat. Like you can use ChatGPT for that. And the things that people need to watch out for is like they got to look out for like the great companies that are doing this really well. Like Casetext is a great example. I believe EvenUp is a great example. The folks that you got to watch out for, there's like a lot of these companies that you call them like ChatGPT wrappers. So essentially, they'll build like, and they're not bad or anything. Like, by the way,
Like
they're all
tinfoil wrap or like wiki wrap.
yeah, like
white label wrap.
more like tinfoil wrap. So it's like essentially they'll build like a UI, user interface around ChatGPT, and there's nothing that you can necessarily. There's nothing that more that you can achieve here than you would be able to do if you use ChatGPT directly yourself. But what the user interface really assists you with is prompting, right? And like Evan, you were talking about, if you know how to prompt the AI, then you can have it do like crazy things for you, all the things that you would ever imagine. But that's the skill in itself that you need to learn, right? How to prompt. And so these user interfaces typically just make prompting easier, right? They're just trying to simplify. It's like, okay, just insert whatever, answer these questions, and then they basically handle the prompting for you.
So one thing that I do whenever I'm looking to use a product, and I've learned this over the past, 6 to 8 months, is I see what the company is, who's involved in the company. I'll go to like Crunchbase. I'll see like these types of things to figure out who's their leadership, how long they've been around. Because what you said, I never realized there was a term for it, but I've noticed people literally just take something and then just white label it real quick.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not cool. They're just selling fool's gold.
and
They're a
that's-
subscription.
Right. Well, and people are paying. They're thinking that this is like a specialized product, and they're paying a premium for it. We're like, well, look, that might be helpful, but probably not worth X.
Exactly. Like it becomes quickly commoditized. It becomes very saturated. And at the end of the day, then you realize that like you could have actually probably done this with just ChatGPT yourself.
Right.
And so that's where I highly encourage, like, I guess if there's one thing that we can let people take away from this in terms of like, what would you explore after kind of listening to this, this recording is, go and try ChatGPT yourself. Like everybody's talking about it, but like the amount of people that we've talked to is like, have you actually tried it though? And they're like, no, they've never opened it. Yeah. And it's like, okay, open up your laptop right now.
This is what I hear people where there's one thing, well, AI's woke. It's woke. We can't use it. I was like, guys, do you even know what that means? Like,
yeah, it's awake. It's looking at me.
It's awake. Well, guys, if you're teaching it, are you woke? Like, or if you're the one prompting, depends on who's wagging that dog. But let's do this because we're going to wrap up here, and we could do these more episodes that evolves and bring everybody back. But let's talk about, I'll go first, where you think this will evolve to quickly and how you can use in your practice now AI. And one thing that I think that I'm working on is, when we try cases, a lot of times we get the jury sheets live, right? And sometimes we'll be able to get back to our office to research jurors. We have a jury consultant. We try to look up their social medias, their postings, all these things to see which way they lean on certain things to see if they'd be a good juror for us or not. Well, with AI, you can take that list and then have it search all the profiles and social media for these folks, extract their postings, and give you a real quick write-up of the makeup of your jury very quickly, which takes us now attorney time. Think of the attorney time, Evan, that we have in our office, because we have 10 attorneys back in the office researching this stuff and how it's applicable.
Yeah, that's wild.
It takes us all, several hours of manpower of lawyers, which AI can use. So that's me. That's where I want to see this go quickly.
Yeah. I'll just go next. I think where I really want to see this go is essentially, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, but put more of the human back into the process here. And like, it's kind of counterintuitive because everyone's thinking like, but by using AI, we're introducing technology and therefore tech is going to overrun the humans and stuff. But the thing is, like, the AI, again, helps us do things that we never thought were imaginable before. And like, one thing that I see in terms of the practices that, we work with every day is like, there's this huge kind of movement towards, okay, let's use tech and streamline everything and go. But, they may find themselves cutting corners, and they're no longer actually spending the time with their clients and learning their story and everything like that. That's not the goal. Like, you guys know best as trial lawyers, like, the story is what really matters, right? And so essentially, if we're able to use tech to streamline all of the mundane things and basically buy you more time and focus to spend with your clients and get the requisite information that's going to help work up the value of the case and tell their stories, that's what's most important. And that's where I see, great firms I've seen using different technologies like, Twilio and other kind of survey, we'll say like SurveyMonkey type form and stuff like that, to collect information from plaintiffs around like loss of enjoyment and duties under duress. But imagine if you can create or teach an AI to help you handle that intake and help help you gather that information and actually talk with your clients to get like all the storytelling components of like what has changed in their life. How is their life flipped upside down at this point? Like I can no longer raise my baby daughter above my head. I used to be able to, but now I no longer have the mobility to do so, and I can only hold her close to my chest. All of these little factors actually do matter, but
I saw a platform where it's like a video where you can record yourself and then you can type it in and it'll look like you're saying those things. It's like dubbing your own voice on video, and you could do it on repetitions.
Oh.
Could I have
That's crazy.
Can I have AI just have a phone call for me so I don't have to fucking deal with it?
There-
Imagine talking to a client and the AI is just prompting the next question.
I've
That's
seen
my
those
voice.
ads.
Oh.
I've seen like, you can, it's almost like a catalog where you can pick your virtual AI assistant and you can pick how they look. And then like, I guess a lot of, I'll call them Fortune 1000 companies are using these, this device, app, program, whatever, and kind of replacing some HR instructional videos and like training videos. So there you go.
I use it.
So
That's the fastest way that we could actually pump out training videos. It's like, because think of this: we're sitting here at this table and we're like, okay, let's prep for this recording, and it's like, do I look good? Like checking in the camera and everything. It's like there's so many factors in your head where you're like, oh man, and then I have to record this. I have to read the script and record it, and then it's like, oh man, I messed up. Let's rerun this. Like let's cut that out. When you can just prompt the AI and like just type in what you want it to say and everything, it does it. It's like,
see, look,
it's so scalable.
I'm telling you.
And you can pump and you can change your training recordings and stuff like that for the team in an instant.
Yeah,
just regenerate.
we're filming this in Justice HQ in Torrance. And before I saw Ray on interviews, like hiring people, like in one of the rooms over here. Were you the AI or was it you?
No, I mean right now
we don't know.
Right now we're actually just avatars at this point.
Exactly.
Like this is not even the real Bob Simon. Everybody.
Yeah, you guys got to be in a hiring frenzy then.
Yeah, we're hiring like crazy. So obviously, a lot of companies are unfortunately laying off folks and stuff like that. And so one thing to mention is like we are looking to bring on as many people as we can right now. So if you guys have any good,
the world needs more
referrals.
good Canadians like you, eh?
I'm available as a consultant here. 1099. I'm kidding. I think just briefly the parting two tips I'd have is one's a tip, one's a hope here, but you just can't avoid this AI wave here, folks. I think you just need to embrace it. Can't be afraid of it. Teach yourself. It's not hard. There's YouTube videos out there. Give us a buzz. People, there's a lot of ways to educate yourself a little bit to start messing with this. But you're gonna get left behind. The ability to catch time, and for me, I have, and a lot of the folks at the Simon Law Group, we have little kids. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, an 18-month-old. And so if I can catch any little bit of time and spend more time with them, and my practice and my craft doesn't suffer, I'm all for it. And so I think that would be my recommendation for folks is just try it.
Absolutely.
And then number two, not to be like, dystopian here, but
what is that word?
Yeah, right. It's
that's a big one. Oh, yeah.
I read a dictionary as to break a mental sweat, at night.
Yeah.
But jokes aside, it's just and I think you bringing back the human element. At some point, I think there's going to have to be some sort of, dare I say, governing body here to kind of help craft maybe some rules here. And I'll pose an interesting query here for you. At some point, like I read an article a long time ago, and it was talking about Tesla's autopilot. And what does AI do when confronted with a situation, or let's just say it's going to crash, and it has to decide, take out a 45-year-old adult male or a 10-year-old kid. And if it's going to have to do one of the, what does the AI do? It has to be taught that. And so who are the
get them both?
Who's watching the
get both those humans?
Right? It's just crazy. Like who's gonna decide, right? And it's just it's gonna be an interesting time out there, but you got to embrace it and can't avoid it.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
I love it. That's end dark. End dark.
I know, right? Whoops.
But I think Bob said it best. I've heard you speak over at one of the conferences last week. But it's if you're not using AI, somebody else using it will beat you. And that's the the thing is, like, it's no different than, like, once upon a time, people being trained on computers or knowing how to use email, and then, or like being able to use Office. Like, I think growing up, the coolest thing that kind of put us ahead of the game was being able to, like, knowing how to use Google to search how to do things when you don't know how to do things. I think now the new skill that everybody should learn is how to actually prompt AI.
And typing. I mean, geez, like seeing, I think my age right around 35.
Yeah.
Everyone I know my age can type real well, but a couple years older than me, maybe not so much. And
That's
then
right.
watching them, try to, one, I guess with their just fingers peck away, it's just painful to watch, and they're behind. And so, to your point, I think you need to buckle up, be a big boy and or gal, and start playing around with it.
All you got to do is download it, test drive it. You can literally talk into it, type into it, and just.
It's free. OpenAI.com.
For now, it's free.
Well, free. Yeah, exactly. Well.
Yeah, cool. Well, Ray, Evan, thanks for coming on. We'll definitely have you guys back on, and hopefully Evan won't be so dark.
I know.
Dark.
Dystopian.
Congrats, guys, on your success. Evan, congrats on the verdicts and leveraging the stuff. Ray, congrats on your company. I know this is just the start of what you're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode of the Justice Team Podcast. Go to thejusticesteamnetwork.com if you have any questions, want to watch this episode or others. Thanks for listening, and if you're watching, thank you, Evan, for not shaving. Ciao.